Yeah, so I am going to take this here.
Order. Order submitted.
Kind of have a full risk on the table. We inverted that 5-minute fair value gap right there. So inverting that 5-minute fair value gap, we still have 4 minutes until we possibly invert this 15-minute fair value gap as well. But I am looking at this 9:30 opening play as the manipulation down into that London low. And now we basically have a inversion model here, and we're going to target some of this low resistance liquidity to the upside and possibly a final target of the London high. But yeah, like I mentioned before, we've already swept the daily low, so I'm not looking at the previous daily high as a target, right? Especially on this distribution candle, I'm just expecting a movement back into the range and retrace some of this move that happened during London in the pre-market. Now giving myself a decent stop loss here. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too tight. Don't want too tight of a stop loss here because we could get wicked out if price wants to consolidate, right? We invert this 15-minute fair value gap and we consolidate in this range a little bit. I don't want to be wicked out. But yeah, waited 45 minutes essentially for price to show its hand. Now, on this specific day, I'm not looking for the continuation model, right? I'm not looking for the continuation model because we already reached into that daily low. I talked about this weekly high possibly being a target, but that's not a level of liquidity that I'm looking at, right? A level of liquidity would be lows or a fair value gap or something like that. But that weekly high, not necessarily looking at that as a level of liquidity, just a possible target that price might have reached for during the first 30 minutes. Also, a little bit of intuition involved in this trade, I will say, because we had 2 days in a row where we spooled right off the open all day, right? So if this is going to be, if this is going to spool right off the open again, chances are of it spooling for a third day in a row right off the open is not really likely, right? At some point, this opening move is going to be a manipulation. Because like I said, 9:30 is going to do three things. It's going to consolidate. It's going to run for a higher time frame liquidity and manipulate like this. Or it's going to distribute like yesterday. Yesterday we had distribution into the daily lows, right? We had more daily lows down here as well. So three things price is doing. If you could figure out what price is doing in the first 30 minutes, I promise you can get on the right side of price. If you just like think about this and look at this first 30 minutes and say, hey, what is this first 30 minutes doing? Is it manipulating? Is it distributing? Or is it consolidating? And then get on the right side. Now you look at the 1 hour and the 4 hour, it looks kind of ugly, right? It looks kind of ugly. It looks like this 4 hour might be creating a wick to go lower because we do not have a wick on the bottom side here. But now look at this daily candle ripping back up. And like I said, in the first hour of the opening range, I'm looking for price to fill this gap, right? If price doesn't want to fill it in the first hour or doesn't show signs of filling it in the first hour, then chances are it continues to run for the day. But here we have a textbook V-shaped recovery, right? 5 minute right off the open, coming back, inverting that fair value gap. Now we're trading higher, just like we talked about, right? Now, this price action right here was a little bit wonky. I would love to see it trade a little bit sharper, be a little bit sharper of a V-shaped recovery. And, you know, this can be on any time frame, guys. Like, you can do this on the 1 minute time frame as well. The 5 minute just makes the most sense to me because of the timing, right? I'm always looking at the first 30 minutes. What is that 30 minutes doing? Where can I catch that 100 points? You know, is it distributing into a daily low? You know, is it distributing into a London low, Asia low, daily low, weekly low, those things? And can we react off of that level in the first 30 minutes, which we did? First 45 minutes, I should say. And now all we're running for is this low resistance liquidity that formed all during the pre-market, all during London session. And honestly, a good target here could possibly be this gap fill or 50% of this range. Because this is going to be in quadrants, right? So 50% would be here. 24663. But yeah, sweeping the high of this hourly candle at this point, I'm not expecting that low to get swept. So sweep that high, not expecting that low. Now, don't get me wrong, it can definitely get swept, right? Like bearish engulfing candles do happen. But when this is manipulating into a higher time frame level of liquidity, this daily low, it's a lot less likely for price to completely reverse here and start trading for that weekly high. But these are my favorite. This is my favorite model here, the inversion model, because when you see price do this, it usually runs for levels very easily after it's manipulated, right? And as you can see, price action is moving pretty smooth, right? We're not seeing like price consolidate, right? Now, if this goes sideways for a little bit, that's still okay. But these are my favorite because price tends to move pretty quickly towards levels of liquidity where yesterday, right? You look at yesterday's price action, right? We dumped off the open and then we had to sit a lot of consolidation before price wanted to start moving again. Now, this doesn't look like anything in hindsight, but when you're sitting in an hour of consolidation holding a trade, it can definitely, get to your mindset a little bit. I can't really scale in on this trade, actually. Yeah, I can't scale in on this trade because that puts my stop loss in a pretty bad spot. So, just going to leave my stop down there. Yeah, I think a good target could possibly be that gap fill there, right? I think that could be a good target for the day, but it's a long way for the daily. We'll see. It's not like it's out of the question, right? Got a 4 hour fair value gap here. Price could trade into as well. Probably end up taking profit a little sooner, to be honest, because price is really moving today, but we've already moved. We've already moved 200 points from the lows there. But yeah, pretty solid week of trading for me, honestly. Past 2 weeks have been great. Past 2 weeks have been amazing trading. So catch an easy win today. Rack up the wins. And price is just spooling right now. Absolutely spooling. But yeah, at this point, we are in a very good spot. Very good spot. So getting a little reaction off of that hourly fair value gap, right? We have been trading higher on this 4 hour. See if price wants to continue to make this recovery. At some point, I am expecting price to go sideways a little bit. Price has been way too clean. We had a very nice manipulation and a very nice start to this distribution. So I'm expecting price, like I said, to go sideways a little bit. At this point, I am not expecting price to run back down towards these daily lows. That's completely off the table for me. Shorts at this point are off the table. But crazier things happen, right? This was a pretty nice balance of this price range here. We had a 15-minute fair value gap right off the open. And then that 10 a.m. candle closing above, and now that 10:15 candle forming another fair value gap here on the 15-minute. This is definitely signaling a higher time frame V-shaped recovery. And we honestly might not see that 15-minute fair value gap get tapped into again. We might not see that 15-minute. Or that inversion for that matter, because we are manipulating so hard. But we'll see if price wants to sneak a wick down there. Yeah, I would love to scale in this trade, but it just kind of puts my stop loss too close, in my opinion. Puts my stop loss a little too close for comfort. All right, seeing price slow down a little bit. Hmm. Yeah, like I was talking about before, like this being my favorite model is sometimes you don't really have to sit through consolidation. Price just usually runs straight for the target, which is nice. Or you're quickly in profit. Because if you can catch a manipulation leg and get in early on the distribution leg, you're sitting nicely, right? Yeah, I want to see price kind of melt through this 1 hour fair value gap. That's the only thing. Now we did already run up, like I said, over 200 points. So we could see price start to cool off here. I would like to get a little bit more out of this trade before I cut it. I don't really want to sit in another day of consolidation, to be honest. But it is what it is. It's part of trading. Be back 1 sec. Gotta grab my phone. Yeah, just kind of a waiting game now. Right? And so the 1 minute starting to slow down here and consolidate like we talked about. Been in about 20 minutes of consolidation now. All right, is price going to start running again here? Looks like it. We're breaking that 30-minute high finally after 10 minutes. Let's see if price wants to start running to the upside again, making another 100-point move. All right, maybe not. Maybe we don't get that breakout. Maybe price wants to come back in this range and cool off a little bit more. So stacking some fair value gaps on top of each other. We could see this 30-minute come down here and trade into this order block, right? It is possible for price to come down in here before trading higher. But we got that first 15 minutes of that 30-minute candle, though, not trading into that level. So possibly price wants to just trade off this level here and continue higher. But we are bouncing right off an hourly fair value gap. So that is something to keep in mind. However, we are consolidating right at that hourly fair value gap. So I am expecting price to shoot up past in the next 14 minutes and close above that level, right? So if price wants to close above this level here, we would be inverting that 1 hour fair value gap. And that is something that could happen, like I said, in the next 13 minutes. But we really need to see price start moving at that 1050 macro. So looking back at the regular trading hours, we have not traded up into 50% of that gap yet. So looking at that gap still and seeing if we could start closing above to start trading into a full gap fill. Possibly 75% of this level. You can treat it as quadrants, but got my stop at break even there at this point. Getting a little closer to 11 a.m., so I don't really care for price to come back on the pullback, right? Yeah, not what I want to see. 1050 coming in like that. Don't really want to see 1050 macro delivering price action like that. See what's going on here. Yeah, my eyes are kind of on this 1 minute fair value gap right now. Is price going to start trading through some of this low resistance liquidity, or does price want to trade higher? We are respecting that one hour fair value gap. Yeah, if price starts trading down below here, it might be a good idea to just close this in profit. We do have a 15-minute fair value gap here, but price might want to start running towards some of these levels. I don't like how that 1050 macro came out. As I said, it starts running for some of these lows. Yeah, we did inverse this fair value gap here on the 1 minute time frame, but I am looking for that to fail. Price is in a distribution mode to the upside. I'm not looking for shorts. But yeah, I don't like seeing this. I'll try to just pay attention to the 5 minute here. So there is another 1 minute inversion getting rebalanced. So a lot of fair value gaps formed in this consolidation. And when you're in a consolidation like this, you cannot trust fair value gaps. I talk about this all the time. You cannot trust fair value gaps in these consolidation areas because price is doing nothing here. The times you focus on fair value gaps are when you see sharp V-shaped recoveries, right? You focus on fair value gaps once you see this V-shaped recovery here, and we invert fair value gaps in a V-shape. You ignore all fair value gaps in consolidation. But we are getting closer to 11 a.m. here. And I definitely want to exit out soon. We'll see what this 11 a.m. candle wants to do, if it wants to pull back here. Or if we want to start trading higher again for the high. Yeah, I'm going to close here.
Order filled.
I'm going to close here. We are at 11 a.m. now. Starting to see price go sideways. We are respecting a 1 hour fair value gap. Price could trade higher today, but just going to lock in that profit. And still on a 8-day winning streak. Right? Not too heavy on the profit today, but still getting a win.